What's up, my man? How are you?
Yo, good to see you. How are you?
I am amazing. I'm amazing. Nice to see your smiling face. Where are you at?
Home office,
All right. I love it.
Canada. Yeah.
How's Charlie? How's Ruby?
Charlie's great. Ruby's great. They've got soccer practice twice a week. So we go and I play with one kid while the other one's in the practice. And they're getting great. Summer's almost over. Got a week left. Back to school.
Nice.
How's Devin?
Devin's great. We just came back from Italy, as you probably know, and he had a great time. Just like you, man, experiencing the beauty of what the world has to offer and being able to travel. And I think we're both really blessed that we have intentionally set up our businesses that allows us to see other parts of the world and witness and experience other cultures. And I think there's nothing more that grows us than travel. So, you know, I know
Yeah.
that we've traveled together in the past, and certainly I envision that happening more and more in the future. Uh,
Yeah.
but even independently, it's just fun to be with family and experience new cultures and new things. And actually, it's funny. I'm excited to have this conversation about sales and just business in general,
Yeah.
because when you're in Rome and Florence and other cities, you're just exposed to people trying to sell you stuff, right? And you kind of like start scratching your head and you start looking at it, the whole process as an entrepreneur, and it's just really fascinating. And I know
This would be a great topic I would love to talk to you about. Is Sachin's assistant a person or is that an AI?
it's an AI. So we
Very
have
good.
Sachin's assistant listening to our conversation, which I'd love to jump right into if that's okay with you.
Yeah. Let me just grab
And
something. I'll be right back.
sure. And so while Majeed is grabbing probably a drink or something, Sachin's assistant is an AI. It's an app called Read.ai, and it's an extension of Zoom that basically allows you to have your assistant come in, listen in on the conversation, and then it actually transcribes the conversation for you. It pulls out clips and highlights of the conversation for you, rates the engagement level of the conversation, rates how fast you're speaking. It reads the body language of the participants, and it tells you what their sentiment is. So it's a really cool way of giving yourself feedback. It coaches you. It tells you how many filler words you have, how many
You're
words per
talking about your AI right now?
I am, yeah. So I'm
What's it called?
it's called read.ai,
Wow.
read.ai, and it's an extension of Zoom. So it basically, there's a free version, and then there's a obviously a paid version that allows you to have more recordings and gives you much deeper insights and everything. So
Amazing. Are you
yeah,
okay if I stream from my phone on Instagram? It's just going to be like a picture of me talking.
I would have it no other way.
Okay, good.
But just so and everyone knows, we're live. We're just going
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
right into this, and which is a really cool thing about our conversation today, because I want it to be like really raw and really conversational, so that people kind of get to see almost like what it's like behind the scenes,
But
right?
you don't have live attendees right now, do you?
No, it's just me and you.
Okay. All right.
That would be hilarious if I just it's like, hey, surprise, we've got a live audience right now that you didn't know was here.
All right. I'm ready for you.
All right, awesome. So I'm thrilled for our conversation. I'm thrilled. We'll definitely get caught up on a personal level after this, but excited to be back stateside, and I'm actually heading out to Calgary tomorrow for 5 days. So I'm going to be in the Rockies for a few days, and I'm doing a training out there, and then off to Florida to go see Patrick Bet David. So on the move, on the run, and really excited to close out this summer strong. And I know September we're gonna have to put our foot down, put our foot on the gas, and serve and help more people. So no better time to dive into the topic of sales, entrepreneurship, building a business, freedom, travel, all of those things, which I love to discuss with you today.
Great. Let's do it.
All right. So for those of you that don't know Majid, certainly if you're in my ecosystem, you've come across his work. We've co-hosted events together. We've traveled across the world together, Portugal being one of those places. We've cried together. We've laughed together. We've portaged together. We've done so many cool things together, hosted events, stayed at each other's places. And it's been like a really fun few years to get to know Majeed. We met through an organization called Archangel, and Majeed and I became fast friends. And ever since then, I've admired how much he gets to travel. I admire him as a father. I admire him as an entrepreneur, and certainly admire him deeply as a friend. So today, you're going to get all of what Majeed has to offer, and one of those things that he has to offer you specifically as a functional medicine practitioner is an awareness of how to create a business that allows you to travel, because that is something that you have to do intentionally. It's not by accident, right? It's not by accident that Majeed travels and earns a living traveling, actually, and is able to combine travel and entrepreneurship, which I'm trying to do more of myself personally, and I hope many of you are as well. And certainly, if you're not, it's because you haven't seen enough of the world to appreciate how much there is to appreciate. So the more you travel, the more you want to travel. You definitely get the travel bug. And if you can set up your business that allows you to do that, then all the power to all of us, because I mean, it's kind of the holy grail of entrepreneurship. Majeed also has extensive training in speaking. He has a book called Expert Speaker, runs a business called Expert Speaker, and he has also extensive sales training. And he's actually helped my team, specifically my wife Deepa and Aaron, improve and optimize our sales process. So it's always something that we're consistently and constantly perfecting, and Majeed has been instrumental in helping us do that. So that's kind of my heartfelt introduction. I'm sure there's something about you that I missed. What's something about you that people should know that I didn't share?
That I'm a father to Ruby and Charlie.
Yes.
And you've opened so many great loops. I'd love to jump into a few of them. One of them is about being a world traveling father. There I was in Manhattan taking Chris Winfield's Unfair Advantage training, where he's teaching us how to get into PR. And the speaker at the time, I forget who it was who asked this question, but they asked, "How are you different?" And I was stumped. I'm like, shoot, I'm just another public speaking coach. Well, I'm a public speaking coach for entrepreneurs, but that's not the most unique thing. And then I thought of two things that are really, really important to me that were not in my bio. And we were talking about writing your bio, and that I love to travel and that I love being a father. And so I opened up this Google Doc that had my bio, and I added 3 words to my bio. At the time, my bio says, Majeed Mogharreban is an award-winning, but I put 3 words before my name: world traveling father. Majeed Mogharreban is a world, So, in fact, travel was the answer to my business's origin question. The origin question that formed my business was, how do you get paid to travel? Growing up as a kid, travel was something that rich people did, and we didn't have enough money to do. And so when I went to university, I chose a major that sounded like traveling. It was called international business. That's an area of focus that you can go to a university to get a degree in international business. And what I imagined was a man with a suit and a tie and a briefcase getting on an airplane, going to his international business meeting. Because for me at the time, business meant you make money. International meant other countries. And I didn't really know anything about entrepreneurship. I just knew, like, if I choose the right degree, it's going to get me on an airplane in a suit with a briefcase.
What about the hat? Don't forget the hat.
And the hat. So I wanted to figure out, how do you travel? Turns out I figured out, in order to travel, you need time and money. And sometimes when you have time, you don't have money. And sometimes you have money, you don't have time. So you need time and money, right? I also learned when I was backpacking through China, this wealthy businessman said to me, there's 2 ways to travel. There's doing it like you're doing it, and you call it backpacking because you have a backpack and you stay in a hostel and you eat granola bars and you're stretching $10 a day. He says, or you can get companies to pay for it. So I was like, I want companies to pay for it. That sounds great. That sounds way better, right? And so how do I get paid to travel? The first answer I came up with was traveling motivational speaker, goes on tour. I thought of a lot of things, like I could be a journalist, or I could be work for a company that has offices in all these countries that you have to go to. So traveling motivational speaker was sort of this like idea. If I could just get on the speaking circuit and get paid to go to all the conferences speaking, then I would travel and other people would be paying for it. Then the question evolved after I had kids because I realized I didn't really want to get paid to travel when I don't really want to like go to places I don't really want to go to and be like have to be on the road. So the question evolved to how do I go to places I actually want to go to and come back with more money than I left with? So when you ask the right questions, you get better answers, right?
Mm.
Now I have a new version of the question. It's no longer a question, it's a mantra. And the mantra is travel profitably. Travel profitably. So what this means is I've overcome the belief that I can't afford to travel, and I've installed a belief, which is that the more I travel, the more money I make. Because the more I travel, the more creative I am. The more I travel, the more energized I am. The more I travel, I open up my laptop and I can make sales. And so travel profitably is like a way of thinking and a way of being for me that I give myself permission to travel as much as I want, knowing that I can make money. And in fact, I probably do make more money just by traveling because it's so aligned to my spirit. And this is how I've overcome the beliefs of I can't afford it to travel, or I don't have time to travel because I make time to travel. And I would like to leave our listeners with one simple two-step process, my way of getting people to travel who feel like they can't travel. The simple two-step process is step one, book the flights. Step two, figure out everything else later. And it works really well because the reason why people aren't traveling yet is because they didn't do step one. They made like steps 1 through 1,000 before book the flights. You just book the flights, figure out everything else later.
I totally agree about the creativity, and I really felt that this time as well. And I feel like you almost have to travel long enough to be able to unlock that creativity. Because if you just go for a day or two, kind of zip in and out, which sometimes I might find myself doing if I'm traveling to an event that I'm speaking at, or I've got to get somewhere and get back pretty quickly. But I felt like with this time around, being gone in multiple different cities, um, being in a time zone that was different enough that I could send an email and then not expect an email back immediately. That asynchronicity was really cool to witness because I could stay up to date with my work, but not get caught up in back-to-back chatter. So being in a different time zone, I felt really helped. Witnessing and experiencing other foods and cultures, and just seeing how other people live their lives was also very inspirational and thought-provoking as well, because you get to see, like, no matter how fancy you travel, you also encounter people who don't have as much fortune as we probably do, that are just as happy, if not appearingly even more happy than people who have it seemingly all, right? So I feel like there's also that lesson that you learn is it's a gentle reminder. You don't need much to be happy. You need the right people around you. You need good food in your belly, a roof over your head, and of course a way to make an income. And what's cool is that you've devised a way to be able to travel, and I love that you're teaching other people that as well. Where's your favorite place that you've traveled in the world? I know that's probably a loaded, tough question to answer, but if you had to pick one place that you'd go back to, what would it be?
Well, I just recently went back to two of my favorites, Morocco and Portugal.
Mm.
And I love Morocco. And we were talking before we pressed record here about how it's interesting to witness how people sell things. And Moroccans, like going through the market, the way that they negotiate and it's so different. In fact, there's a funny story about my late Persian grandmother who went to a grocery store. She got all these fruits and vegetables. Then she went to the cashier and she started negotiating, which is funny because that doesn't work. They're like, what do you mean? The price is the price. But, in Morocco, they start with a high price and then they get all emotional, they get offended. And then when you finally agree on a price, they make you tea and you're best friends. And it's like this really cool dance. Which I actually have some insights I'd like to share about how to negotiate in the markets of Morocco. But then Portugal is beautiful because you've got Europe and you've got that, like, they know how to just have a nice day and have a nice time. And they sit in the park for hours and eat. And it's just like you realize, like, what am I so stressed about all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So true.
love that place. Yeah.
So true. I love that. So, okay, we can go in a lot of different directions today. What's kind of, you're somebody, I guess we haven't really officially announced this. I'm assuming most people know this, but you positioned yourself as, somebody who specifically helps functional medicine practitioners. And I know, health and wellness is important to you. It's something that has made a positive impact in your mom's life, specifically as you've shared the story in your book. Um, Tell us a little bit more about what inspires you to continue to work with practitioners, and why you want to help more of them get their message out there.
Well, it was because one holistic medical practitioner, I don't think she was a functional medicine doctor. I'm not really sure what her qualifications were. I never met her. But she gave one presentation that forever impacted my family's health. And what happened was my mother was diagnosed bipolar and she was put on meds called lithium. And the doctor basically said, just keep taking these. And then there were side effects and she got new pills for the side effects. And then there was new side effects from the new pills. So she got new pills for the new side effects from the new pills. Eventually she was just taking a bunch of pills and basically became like a zombie. And that went on for years until one day a natural doctor gave a presentation about the gut-brain connection, how the food you eat affects your mental health. And it was a poster in a coffee shop hanging on a billboard, on a thumbtack, bulletin board. And my mother's friend saw this sign, went to the presentation, heard about how food can affect things like bipolar and manic depression, called my mom and said, you should book an appointment with this doctor. She went to go see this doctor, and this doctor asked her, what are you eating? And none of her doctors had ever asked that question because there was, I guess, no understanding of how the food affects your mental health. So this doctor recommended, get rid of all the crap, all the processed food, eat whole foods for a month. Let's see what happens. Changes my mom's life, brings the color back into her face. She's like fully alive again. And she starts to come off these meds. And so at the time, I was a professional speaker, traveling, talking about leadership communication for Fortune 500 companies and giving presentations and teaching what I could teach. But I didn't know anything about functional medicine, naturopathic medicine. I probably didn't even know what organic food was. I was just like, pizzas and Coca-Colas and all that. And so I realized it was this one presentation that my mother wasn't even at that introduced our whole family to whole foods, wellness. And, everyone has their time of awakening of realizing all these things. I started learning about the importance of sleep and drinking water and sunshine and walking around barefoot on the ground. And just the more I learn, the more I want to tell everybody about it. Meanwhile, as I'm meeting more and more naturopathic, holistic, functional medicine doctors, I realize that they don't have the skill of presenting in a way that gets buyers to buy. So I think for the most part, doctors and people who are certified in nutrition and health coaches, they love this stuff and they want to share it and they want to explain it. But they don't know how to tell stories and they don't know how to get people emotionally excited about buying. Some things that woman said to my mother's friend inspired her to call my mother. And I want more practitioners to be able to give presentations that inspire people to take action. So I took the stage at your event at the Novo Hotel in Toronto. I called my mother the night before and I said, is it okay if I tell your story? Because I had never told anybody because it was relatively new at the time. So I told her story, and I had so many of your attendees booking calls with me, and so many of them saying, I want to share my message. I don't know how to book speaking engagements. I don't know how much to tell or what not to tell in my presentations. And I said, don't worry, I got you covered. So I'm the public speaking coach for functional medicine doctors who want to spread their message and build their business at the same time.
I love that. Thank you. What would you say is what I find is really interesting is that do you believe that salespeople are born are like are people naturally good at selling, or is it a skill, or maybe a little bit of both? But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the best salespeople in the world, I believe, are children.
Mm.
You
So
know,
true.
Charlie, my boy, 7-year-old boy, man, he's been working on me on why I should let him stay up later, why I should let him have a sleepover, why I should let him go buy this thing from the grocery store. And he'll use every tactic. He'll use anger. He'll use sadness. He'll use please, please, please. He'll tell me how great I am. And then he'll make the sale. Only in adulthood do we start to develop these fears of, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to make people uncomfortable. Oh, I'm not good enough at this price. And, I don't want to pressure anybody. It's only because we've started to develop social fears, right? So, for anybody who's listening who feels like sales is not my thing, I'm not a salesperson, I'm really excited for you to change your relationship to sales to one where you love sales and you love being a salesperson, because there's so much freedom and power in that. So I will provide you with a definition of sales that you might feel more comfortable adopting to associate to yourself. And sales is simply the art of helping people make the right decision. Not necessarily to pressure them to buy the thing that you're selling, but to help them decide what they want to do about the problem that they have. They might decide they want to do nothing. They might decide they want to figure it out how to solve it themselves, watching YouTube videos and figuring it out. Or they might want to spend money on some other solution other than yours. Or they might want to buy your solution. Your job is to help them make the right decision for them. So if you feel like you're good at helping people make decisions, or you like helping people make decisions, poof, you're in sales.
Where do you feel like there's internal objections, right? Then there's external objections that come up for us. Like the first sale, I believe we have to make is on ourselves, right? We've got to be sold on ourselves, and then of course, the program or whatever offer we're putting together. What's that next sale that needs to take place? Maybe we can talk about that. That
Sure.
first sale is obviously us, but then what's that next sale that needs to take place?
So you're right about the first sale is you. Very hard to sell something you don't believe in. And when we're selling our services, we're often confused and associating that I'm selling me. And you even hear this confusion in people saying, like, I charge what I'm worth. It's not you they're buying. It's not you you're selling. What you're selling is a vision of a better future that you're co-creating through a conversation, asking them questions, where do they want to be 6 months from now? And they're buying that vision of a better future that they believe they can get to with you. So that's one thing that you're selling, is you're selling this vision of a better future, which is different for every patient. It's different for every client. You're asking them questions like, let's say you and I work together and everything works out really well and you get the results that you want from hiring me. What does your life look like in 3 months? Their answer to that question is what they are buying. Now, it's easier to sell when you've had 100 clients, and you've got a wall full of testimonials, and you really believe in your service and your ability to get results. That's called confidence. It comes from experience. It comes from results. But what if you don't have the confidence yet? How do you get those first couple of sales? Well, we think about how we buy stuff as consumers, and we think about ideas like, well, I'll offer it at a discount, or I'll make it free, because we like free stuff and we like discounted stuff, and that's how we buy. We tend to sell the way that we buy, right? So I actually think that's not a bad idea to start off, is to have prices so low that you're thinking to yourself, you're going to be silly to not say yes, because that you're really sold in that, right? And even to the extent of doing work for free. Although the downside to free work is that they're the hardest clients because they're the least committed. Mm-hmm. But we're working on building your confidence here. So give yourself your first few clients. They got to be committed. If it's free, it's harder. And start to build the results. And as you build results, so you're sold yourself, You're helping them see a clear vision of a future that they're buying into and they're committing to financially. You're getting results. Then you start to raise your prices to competitive prices. Then ultimately you get yourself to a level of confidence where you're at premium prices, where you believe either because you're very unique in your focus of who you serve, or you really are confident that you do a great world-class job, then you're charging perhaps multiples of what the competition might be charging because you're so good at it. So that's kind of the phases I think you get into.
Really good. I think people really struggle with what to charge, right? Especially in the beginning. And I like how you gave this example of charge something that feels like it's a real bargain for them, right? So you're really able to offer that service to them, build up your repertoire, build up your confidence, and then obviously that leads to then changing and adjusting and modulating the price accordingly as your experience grows.
I think that's sound advice, but only for your first 5 clients in your first 3 months. Don't make low price your perceived competitive advantage as your primary business strategy, because that really only works well for super high volume, super efficient, super low cost operations, which is usually not the people that are listening to this podcast, right? So it's okay to discount at the beginning to build some confidence, build some testimonials. I call these case study clients. And here's the script I recommend. You say, listen, normally this would be a $3,000 investment, but I'm going to give you a special opportunity to be a case study. And a case study means we're going to show your before and after picture. We're going to tell the story of how you came into the program and how you left the program doing really much significantly better. And because you're going to be a case study, it's going to help me grow my business because I'm going to use you as an example to inspire other people to go through the same process. And they're going to see that it works for people like them because you're going to be similar to them. All that I ask is that you're 100% committed, because I want to have a 100% success rate. That means you're going to show up, you're going to do the work, and I'm going to be bragging about your results by the end of the program. Can you commit 100% to showing up fully the whole way? They say yes. You say, great. Okay, normally the price is $3,000. The case study price is a bargain. It's 50% off. It's only $1,500. Then deliver them a $3,000 program, but charge them $1,500, and you're going to feel like they got a great deal. In fact, deliver them a program that they would be happy to pay $30,000 by the end of the results, and they only paid $1,500.
Brilliant. I love that. So one of the things that comes up as just a consideration when it comes to sales is that how do you say something like this? Practice it, kind of make it so that it's unconscious competency, like you just demonstrated right now, and not make it sound salesy and feel salesy. Because I think that's the biggest pushback that I hear, at least internally from myself, but also from others, is how to make it come across. And so, what is there a methodology? Is it just saying it more often? The conviction? Is it saying it in the mirror 100 times? What's the way to ingrain that into the unconscious?
Yeah, I think all of those are effective strategies. There's just one more thing I want to mention before I forget about pricing. If you're offering a transformational program that they really have to show up for and do the work, it helps to charge a significant price. That $1,500 example I said, if you charge it $100 for that, it's going to be harder for them to show up for themselves, and it's going to be harder for you to show up at world class. So there needs to be a price high enough for you to deliver world class service and for them to feel that it's significant, so that they're staying committed, because too low of a price can sabotage both people in this situation, you and the client. Okay, now, how do we speak in a sales conversation with conviction, with authenticity, with alignment, and not feel like I'm being sleazy or salesy? So there's a couple of mindsets.
Let me just clarify, so you could answer fully, it's not even feeling salesy, it's more feeling scripty, if that's a word.
Right.
So it's more like, how do we ingrain that in a way that it free flows and it sounds authentic, as you indicated?
Okay, so let's address the belief about scripty. So the idea is, I want to be authentic like I am in regular conversation. And in regular conversations, I don't use a script. So for me to use a script will make me feel inauthentic. And I don't want to feel inauthentic because I want to be real with this person I'm talking to. That's kind of the belief that drives the I don't like scripts mentality. So allow me to offer a different belief about scripts. If you have a script where you're following steps of a conversation that you have a plan for, you like have a conversation plan, and you're delivering responses that are rehearsed to be effective, it will actually allow you to be more present in your body, not triggered. Because when you don't have a script and you're thinking, oh no, what should I say to that? I don't know what to say. When they just said I need to think about it. What should I say? Oh, they just said that's too expensive. What should I say? Oh, they just said, call me back in 3 months. What should I say? An untrained person will allow these statements to throw them off, to get them really in their head, to not know how to respond. But if you have trained yourself to know how to respond and know questions to ask and know responses for certain questions or objections, you're actually more present. You're actually more connected. So I will invite you to consider the possibility that using a script will make you more connected, more authentic, more real, and more in service to the person instead of saying, oh, I'll just show up and be myself. So that's mindset number one, is to consider the possibility that scripting actually allows you to be more connected. The second thing is, I have a belief that I've installed. Okay. My default belief was something like people don't like to buy stuff. So if I ask them to pay me money, they're not going to like me. And if they can't afford it, it's going to really make them uncomfortable. And if I was really nice and I really, really liked them, I would do it for free because that's what I do for my friends. I would just help them out. Those were my default beliefs coming into the profession of sales. My new beliefs are these. Anybody who gets an invitation to work with me is lucky. That's what I call making an offer. It's an invitation to work with me. It's an offer to solve their problem. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a pressure pitch. So I say, what are your challenges? Can I help you with that? Would you like some help with that? Would you like help with that now? Would you like help with that now from me? Okay, well, here's what it costs. Let's work through any challenges you might have to make a commitment today, or decide that it's not right for you. I'll help you with that decision. That's what I'm doing. I'm helping you with the decision. So the belief that, so I think a masterful salesperson gives someone an opportunity to spend money joyfully. Imagine your client being happy to spend this money because they're like, great, thank goodness I have a solution to my problem. So I have in my mind the possibility that they might actually be joyfully buying this thing. And the way to get a reference for that is, remember that we sell the way we buy. So when you buy and you're like stressed out and you're like combative with the salesperson and you think everyone's like out to get you and scamming you and you feel like you got to research 1,000 things, you're going to project all those beliefs onto your clients. So practice buying what you want joyfully. And then you can be in that energy when you sell. It's like, this is what you want. And you can have a solution to your problem joyfully. So with those energies, you don't feel like I'm being salesy, which is to say like making someone uncomfortable or pressuring someone into buy. You're actually like here to help. And you happen to have a solution now.
I love that. What would you say to a practitioner who is struggling? Like where can they get help? Where, like, I know you work with practitioners to help them overcome some of these challenges. What would be the next step to somebody who's listening to this? Because I know if you're really listening to what Majeed's saying, like it's pure genius. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And you always teach me something new. So as we've spent so much time together, we spend endless days together portaging and having great conversations, but you just keep leveling up the way you present and the perspective that you bring to this field, which is super awesome, because I know that you're aware of the emotions that practitioners have to go through, the beliefs that they have to shatter and overcome. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you're kind of entertaining my devil's advocate type questions, because these, like, we've really got to be sold on putting our offers in front of people, and really changing the paradigm and the perspective through which we view that process, so that we can do it joyfully, right? And I love, I did a bunch of shopping while I was traveling, and I know you have a lot of experience with traveling, and you know navigating a sale, or just going through that process with somebody. And one of the things I wrote about, well, when I was traveling in a town called Ravello, is that I buy stories, not stuff. And I
Mm.
know you're really big on storytelling, so maybe you can help us understand how incorporating stories can be really effective at getting our message across,
Yeah.
so that it helps people, make that decision when we make that offer.
Yeah. I think of a story like the gift wrapping of an idea. That's how it's delivered, it's how it's presented. And for the practitioners who want to sell more, their prospective client has two potential futures. One where they don't get help and things get worse. And there's a story for that to help them see it and feel it. And the other prospective future is that they work with the practitioner, they solve their problem, they get healthier, they get better, as was the case with my mother, who went in and started working with this practitioner. There's a story for that to help people see it and feel it. And now we have two images and two feelings. The image and feeling of solving the problem, getting help, working with a practitioner, or the image and feeling of not solving the problem and things getting worse. And so I think a very effective presentation format is to tell stories that feature those two potential futures. So people buy emotionally and they justify logically. And I've developed a method called the signature speech, where these stories help people make the decision in their mind, first emotionally and then logically, that they say, I'm going to work with this speaker. I'm going to work with this doctor, this presenter. They've already decided before the speech is even over. So imagine having a speech that you can give to a group of people, and a percentage of the audience has already decided, sign me up for whatever they're selling.
Hmm.
That's the power of having great stories in a speech.
Beautiful. Now I know you tell a cautionary tale, right? That gets them, one is okay, the version of them that achieves the outcome, and then there's the cautionary tale where they don't achieve the outcome. Um, you also do something that you've trained our team in, which I think is quite brilliant, and you do an audit for the individual. Can you shed a little bit of more light on that process?
Yeah, so I was taught this method by Tom Stoyan, Canada's sales coach. He calls it the opportunity audit. And it's a one-page inventory of all the things a potential client might want to move towards or away from. So move towards means, like, in the health space, it's like have more energy, get better sleep, be at my ideal weight. And move away from might be like have less stress, experience less insomnia, get less bloating. So there's the pains that we move away from and the pleasures or desires that we move towards. And we go through this list, and I ask them to indicate which of these in this list apply to you. And what becomes very evident is that almost all of them apply, meaning I want all these things. And it's kind of reinforcing the subconscious idea that I want these outcomes. If I'm being honest, I want these outcomes, right? So that gives us a visual display of all of the desires that they have. And the implication is, if the items on this list, we can help you with that, right? Then we say, okay, now scan back through this list. And this is how I word it. I say, imagine there's a genie in a magic lamp that pops out and says, I'll give you 3 wishes. And those 3 wishes are going to be 3 items on this list. Which 3 would you choose that would have the biggest impact in your life and your business right now? And that gets them to scan the whole list again. So they're seeing all these outcomes that they want or pains that they want to avoid. And they're prioritizing, which is very valuable to them. And then we start to look at one by one, out of these very high priority items, what would it look like if we solved that problem? And what would it look like if that problem persisted and continued? Now they're starting to see through their own conclusions, their own answers to these questions, that there is a brighter future when we solve the problems, and there is pain ahead if we don't solve the problems, which ultimately leads them to the decision of working with us.
Ultimately, as an individual who's helping somebody in this process, you're just, I mean, what you're really doing is helping them make a decision,
That's
and
sales.
a decision that creates a better future for you, of course, in your business, because otherwise, well, you don't want to make a sale that deteriorates your business and yourself personally, but then more importantly, for your client. You're helping the client make a decision that creates a better future for all parties involved.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Something I want to share with you. I'll answer the question I didn't answer, which was, what do people do if they're struggling with this and they want some help from me? I will give you some resources now. One is, I'll give you my book for free at expertspeakerbook.com. You can go there and download the PDF. I've written a book with a 5-step process of giving presentations that turn into clients. expertspeakerbook.com. You can also schedule a one-on-one strategy session with me if you're interested in coaching on personal branding, telling your story, and developing a signature speech that gets clients every time you present. You can go to expertspeaker.com/apply, and that will schedule in a free one-on-one call with me. Well, I will give you the opportunity audit, and we can decide together if working together makes sense for both of us to help you build your business with public speaking. So that's at expertspeaker.com/apply. Now, Sachin, I want to give you one of my favorite ideas. It was taught to me by Jesse Elder. And Jesse Elder calls himself the action philosopher. And he just has a way of explaining things that are really great. And since we've been talking a lot about sales, I want to share this idea with you. The idea is called, the work is the reward. And what it means is that your real job is sales and marketing. The reward for doing your job is practicing medicine or doing your craft. So what that actually means. So let's say you're a functional medicine practitioner, and you're like, I'm really good at functional medicine. I'm good at reading labs. I'm good at giving advice, and I'm good at teaching my classes. And I just want to do that. That's what I'm here to do. And you get kind of grumpy when you find out you got to do sales and marketing to get clients, right? Well, here's the mindset, and it's a big mindset shift for a lot of people. It's like, delivering your functional medicine practice is the reward for doing your job. And your job is as though you've been hired by a local functional medicine practitioner to do sales and marketing to get customers so that that functional medicine practitioner can deliver their service. You've been hired to sell the services of a local functional medicine practitioner. That's you. So you got to learn sales. You got to learn marketing so that you can be rewarded by delivering your service. It feels good. You're good at it. That's the reward. And if you don't like the job called sales and marketing, which is marketing, I define as communication that gets clients, and sales I define as the art of helping people make the right decision for them. If you don't like marketing and you don't like selling, you don't have to do it. You should just go work at a clinic where they just send you clinics and you have a job, or they send you clients and you have a job, so that you can spend a lot of your time being a functional medicine practitioner working for someone else. Of course, you're going to lose income potential and freedom, which you and I, Sachin, we're not willing to do that. We got to be our own entrepreneurs. But that's the idea called the work is the reward.
I love that. And Jesse, for those of you that don't know, is brilliant philosopher and mutual friend of Majeed and I. And I've had, few fortunate opportunities to sit next to him and just listen to him speak. And there's so much wisdom in what he shares, just like you shared. So thank you for bringing that to our awareness. And, for those of you that are sitting on the fence about scheduling that time with Majeed, I highly encourage you to do so. It's been monumentally valuable to our business. It's been wonderful to kind of even be on the receiving end of what he does and how he takes you through that process so that you can apply what you learn even through that call with him. And then certainly what I love about what Majeed has to offer, I mean, it's got a variety of different things to offer. He can help you and your company improve their sales process. He can also help you with setting up your signature webinar and presentation or masterclass. and take you through that framework. He's got a wonderful book. It's a book that we actually give to every one of our clients that joins our mentorship, because we feel it's a priceless tool for them to be able to develop that skill of public speaking and put their signature talk together that leads people to a discovery call and then eventually an offer that's being made. That's part of the perfect pipeline that you want to take your clients through to create a predictable business. And that business hopefully allows you to travel. It enables you to impact lives no matter where you are in the world, and travel profitably if you do it as Majeed teaches it. So thank you, my brother. Thank you for espousing us with your knowledge and wisdom and expertise and your passion and your mastery. I've loved all the trainings that you've done for our community, the live in-person trainings that you do. And of course, you've got a podcast too. Do you want to share that with everyone as well?
Expert Speaker Podcast. You can find it if you look for Expert Speaker Podcast, or you can go to my website, expertspeaker.com/podcast, where you will see all the episodes, including Sachin Patel. And the idea that I remember most from when I got the privilege to interview you is to become the person who earns the right to be on the stage. And you told me this multi-year strategy that takes patience and dedication, which is, if you want to be on the main stage of a conference, go to the conference first. Maybe next year you're going to be a breakout speaker. Maybe the year after that you're going to be the keynote speaker. But if you're just trying to skip the line and get to the keynote, you've never even been to the conference before, put in the work, put in the time, become the person who belongs on the stage. That and more amazing nuggets, you should listen to Sachin's interview on the Expert Speaker Podcast.
I love it. Majeed, when you were sharing all this, and I don't know if we've had this conversation, but the thought has certainly crossed my mind is, have you ever considered, I'm putting on you on the spot here, something to chew on. Have you ever considered starting a outsourced sales service for functional medicine practitioners by individuals who are trained by yourself? Has that ever come up in your...
A great idea. I would call that remote closing. We're talking about the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So having dedicated salespeople, that has not come up in my scope of practice. But I have personally closed sales for other coaching programs, and it's a doable thing. Once you know the program, you know the price, it's really the art of helping people make a decision if they want to work together or not. And so I think it's a good fit for practitioners who have a steady flow of leads, or perhaps want to focus more on generating a steady flow of leads and not focus so much on the process of closing the sale. But it's something I would certainly enjoy doing, and certainly training other closers is something I have significant experience in, and I believe in the possibility. I believe in the possibility of other people closing your services. So if you feel like you're the only person who can sell people on your programs, that is verifiably untrue, because I see it all the time of other people closing high ticket programs for someone else.
Maybe what we can do, and we'll take this rest of the conversation offline, but maybe what you and I can think about is putting a service like that together, where we can have perhaps you train these individuals and then offer something like this to our clients, so that because there does come a tipping point, right, where you can only do so many sales calls or offer calls, if we want to call them that, discovery calls, and you've also got to deliver the service, right? So there's kind of like a tipping point where now you're if you've sold enough programs, then you've got to deliver on those programs, which means sales might start going down and so on and so forth. So it ends up being kind of a roller coaster. But if somebody could outsource that, then that might be a great problem solve for them, so they can keep their head down, focus on generating leads, and not necessarily have to be the one getting on those conversion calls.
I would say that's probably a desire for many entrepreneurs, many practitioners. And I would say whether or not you choose to use that service, I think it's a great mindset to design your programs and to design your business for that eventual possibility, even if you never use it. Because whatever you're not delegating to other people, you're delegating to your future self anyway. An exit readiness consultant taught me this once. Exit readiness is like the idea of like getting ready to sell your business. He said, you should get your business ready to sell, even if you're just selling it to your future self. Have those systems and processes so in order to create a program that can be sold by other people, you need a robust sales page or at least an explanation of what's included. You need a script or a process that someone else can follow. And getting that dialed in is going to be helpful, even if you're the only person who ever does the sales.
Hmm. Kind of reminds me of the E-myth, right? Where he doesn't quite put it so articulately and spiritually that you're selling your business to your future self, but he says, like, systems and processes are increase the valuation of your business, allow for that exit opportunity, even if that exit opportunity is not something that you have planned or envisioned for your future. It makes your business more efficient to run. So why wouldn't you want to do that? And so great, wonderful advice as well. So Majeed, thank you again. You have so much value to offer anyone who gets on a call with you in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of speaking from a stage, in terms of getting on a sales or discovery call, an offer call with somebody. You've done it all. So I highly encourage people to jump on that call with you and go through that process for themselves. And, whatever program Majeed is offering to you, whatever, if that opportunity exists, strongly consider it and jump all over it, because it's everything that I've done, every bit of work that I've done with you has incrementally been transformational for us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.